Moo. What's up, cows? It's your favorite vamp cow back at it again with another React. Andy, this time, did the fans ruin the amazing digital circus? No, I don't think so. They killed the motivation for the creator, that's for certain, but fans didn't kill it. I don't think the series will ever die for at least like 2 or 3 more years. There's probably going to be plenty of merchandise, maybe even possibly a spin-off that's allowed that the creator allows. And they sell it off to, what's it called? Glitch? Yeah, Glitch. Now, the only thing I could think of is why Realty is here making this video is because the Amazing Digital Circus fandom is, they're crazy. They're seen as just mentally ill, chronically online losers. I think I agree because, well, anytime an episode came out, they pretty much came up with a bunch of details that were never even, like, stated or hinted at during the episode. But that goes with, like, any form of fandom. But the amount of them was as obsessive and as same as Undertale. And I think everyone knows how the Undertale fandom is, / the Deltarune fandom. Now, the only way I could really believe people perceive it as being ruined, the Amazing Digital Circus being ruined, period, is that Jax is supposedly canonically trans. Which I don't believe, because the only 2 hints that we got Jax is actually trans, guys, is bro got embarrassed because a woman gave him her bow tie. And he wore a maid outfit for an episode, and that was a gag for the episode. As far as I could tell, there was no other hints there that Jax was feminine at all, but according to Gooseworks, that was supposed to be the case. Okay, you should have done a better job, that's for certain. Because I did not get that vibe, and to me, it just seems like you were saying that to appease the fans after they started, well, a lot of them started saying that was, well, that could have been canon. A lot of them were going with that theory. My personal belief is that Gooseworks just saw all the fans come up with a theory and decided to say, fuck it, I'm done with the series anyway. Yeah, Jax is trans. And they dipped out. But who knows? We're going to find out what our favorite hedgehog tuber is going to say now.
The Amazing Digital Circus was introduced to the world in October of 2023. It took almost the entire...
Wow. 2023. Amazing. It's been 3 years. 3 years for 8 episodes, and probably like some of the best 8 episodes that we're ever gonna get from like an indie how do you put it? Not indie animation. I mean, yeah, it's kind of indie animation. Well, like an indie writer, that's what it is. Indie writer is an indie director. Because Gooseworks, the creator, was doing all the writing and the directing. And then they just had like a bunch of animators. But the story was all Gooseworks.
Internet by storm.
And it is a good story. It's 8. It's like somewhere between, I would say, like an 8.5 to a 9. A couple points are definitely dotted off just because Jax is trans, and that was not that came literally out of nowhere. And I still don't believe it. I just believe that they said that to appease the fan base that was starting to believe it was real.
Because not only did the pilot of the show get over 100 million views in its first month, which as of this video is 4 times that, but also within the same time frame, it already had over 1,000 entries on that one website, and some Harvard analysts predicted that if it kept going that way, it may have contested even the greats of that website, like My Little Pony and Overwatch, and once again,
I can't believe My Little Pony is one of the quote-unquote greats for that website. What does that say about human society?
It had only been out for a month at this point, and people were already applying their bespoke fetishes to the characters.
Yo, someone send that to Pyro. He's gonna love that.
Dude, I'm gonna... What the...
But everybody was talking...
You don't like that? That's what Fortnite did to her. You don't like those childbearing hips? Well, that's too bad. It's canon in the Fortnite-verse.
About the show when the pilot was released and when it first came out. There were such things like memes, especially the one involving the soundtrack. There was
yeah, fun fact, I was trying to figure out, like, what that sounded like to me for the longest time. It took me a while. But it's what is it? It's the Samsung Waking Up song. There's a meme that goes with it where it's like, Samsung users be waking up like they're fucking royalty. It's literally that song for the longest time. I'm the only one that ever that thinks that, though. Everyone compares it to like the Steven Universe opening. We are the crystal gems. Not me. I kind of hear, but it sounds more like the Samsung wake up ringtone.
Even a popular misinformation campaign that Jack Black was going to voice a character, and there was countless videos published attempting to analyze why just the pilot of this show was so
It would have honestly made more sense if Markiplier voiced Kathmo. Markiplier's in everything, but people went to Jack Black. How did that theory even start? What?
successful. Yes, that even includes myself when I used to use Minecraft gameplay as B-roll footage, but it was early days, come on. This type of instant success and widespread interest in a series, even from just a pilot, especially produced from an indie company like Glitch Productions that mainly released all of their animations on YouTube, wasn't heard of around this time.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. Glitch made... it is crazy that Glitch was making stuff like that. I tried watching these series here, and I thought, wow, this is ass. And then they had Murderbots. Murderbots was okay, but the story was just way too complex. And it made way too complex, so way too many plot holes, way too vague. You would have paid way too much attention to get like a basic idea of the plot. But it visually looked good. And then after Murderbots, or during Murderbots, they also were releasing Amazing Digital Circus, which is definitely what brought them to their infamy, which is good for them. Okay, so basically, what I just learned now, what I just registered is that Royalty also said that Glitch is like indie, which, yeah, it makes sense. I wasn't like ready to call them indie because they got 22 million subs. Alright, but they're like an indie animation studio. Again, Gooseworks was the one with doing the whole story and directing by themselves. Glitch was just animating it.
Yes, I know, Has-Been Hotel existed around this time, but we're not going to talk about that today.
When I say you are fucking 20 times before lunch, you
For those that don't know, Royalty loves Has-Been Hotel. It's his favorite series.
yes, Valentin. When I say you
Not the voice breaking. Blake, why do you have to do such a good job of voice acting? Oh my god.
got me. Yes, Val.
Where's the fucking flash water? Where is it?
But anyway, a community quickly formed around this show. Fans that were interested and excited to see the next installments in this series, in some cases, maybe a bit too excited.
I am the person that cried over Has-Been Hotel, and after today, I will probably be known as the person that cried over the Amazing Digital Circus.
But this increase in attention resulted in what I like to call the My
That's so
Hero
real.
Academia effect, where a show or type of media becomes so popular that some members of the community become a bit too interested, or maybe a little one could say obsessed, where it's the only thing they talk about, it's the only thing they think about. They may even create such things as ships that make no sense at all and will never be canon, but will still defend them vehemently. And if you utter a single syllable of criticism regarding
You gotta love that people ship Bakugo and Deku together, even though they have, like, no sexual interest with each other. Like, for, I don't know. I swear, for, like, 5 seasons of My Hero Academia, Bakugo just wants to kill Deku. Or beat his shit in. And then, like, the other 2 seasons, and then, like, 1 season was okay with him, and then the final season, he's chill with him. But okay, yes, make a ship about that.
a piece of media they love so much, they will either crucify you or launch a range of slurs.
I don't think there's anything wrong with shipping material to begin with. I think it's corny, but hey, man, if you are a good writer and you can do it, go for it. If you're not a good writer, probably don't post on the internet because everyone's just gonna make fun of you for it. Because with any form of fictional content, you have to have some form of writing skills, thus implying that you have to be good at writing and making a cohesive, interesting story. Interesting story. I can't speak.
And that's not even mentioning the pain the creators of the show have to go through if they have fans like this and they don't create something that every part of the community is satisfied with. And in most cases, this minority of the community is so loud they often become the representation of the whole fan base for this type of media, especially for those that are outside of the community. Even though the majority of said community are probably normal people.
I don't know, like, anytime I've actually talked to anybody about My Hero Academia, what I thought, they always just, like, got really pissed at me that I found things to dislike in it. And they'd be like, no, listen, this character that should have died? No, that's stupid. Don't you know that when a character is game ended, that's like the end of them forever. There's like no more plot that can be developed around them and with them. Okay. Yeah, there's plenty of times where many characters should have just kicked the bucket and then they didn't, and then they're just kind of alive and they don't do anything. Like, just get rid of them because they serve no purpose in the story. Don't have them like constantly hanging around the story. Because in My Hero Academia's finale, you had like 50 people just, being chill, being alive, and I'd say probably about 10 of those people should have not have lived through like the final season. Not to mention My Hero Academia, they try to go with the stupid edgy arc. Deku they sad, so he's going on solo. He's going that bitter arc Kirito. Oh, he's so sad. No, that shit was lame. That was so corny. They don't actually find that hard. No, that was garbage. That was the worst arc at MHA.
That just enjoy the show, and this small percentage of hardcore fans are ruining everything for everybody else. And the Amazing Digital Circus did see a bit of this at the start, but it was more towards the end of the series. It was more prominent, and it most definitely wasn't as bad as My Hero Academia, or dare I say Has Been Hotel, but it was still there. However, after the success of the pilot, the show continued to do very well. They released more episodes as the years went on, it garnered more and more popularity and attention. Every episode got millions of views, it was talked about everywhere, it became mainstream, and this show as a whole was a huge middle finger to the animation industry at the time. And in the current day, the show has come to an end. It had a cinema release generating 20 million on its 4-day domestic opening.
I was gonna say, can anyone like remember a animation from any like AAA studio or Hollywood studio from 2023 to 2026? I really can't. Not really. The only thing I can really think of is Invincible, and Invincible was also a letdown. I just think the Invincible story to begin with was like, the Invincible story was good, but like, all the animation's based off the comic, and the comic fell off quite hard in like season 3. It was so corny. Season 4 was also super duper corny too.
It got a fall.
With the first half, that is. When the Viltrumites actually started to fight each other, that was interesting.
Fortnite collab, if that amounts to anything in the current day. It became somewhat of a cultural icon throughout its entire run, and the fans, despite the...
I love how it's supposedly adapted I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It referenced it for an episode. That was about it for it adapting I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It was not that deep. But okay. Maybe you could see as an interpretation, but interpretation and inspiration is a quite similar thing. It was definitely not adapting I Have No Mouth, I Must Scream.
Cultural icon throughout its entire run, and the fans, despite the...
Again, the only time you could ever see that was episode 7, and that was it. Because the entire gimmick of the series, one big plot with the series, is that Kane wanted everyone to actually enjoy his adventures. He just didn't understand why. And then on episode 7, he just gets fed up and he gets pissed that no one's liking his adventures anymore. So he just starts torturing them. And believes that it's fun doing that. But even while he's doing that, he also just is not having a good time either.
Overwhelming success of the show, some would lose their...
Whereas the robot in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, they have a limbillion miles of wires, and that would not even be 1% of how much they have for humanity. Like the robot in I can't even do acronym. I Have No Mouth on My Scream. But the robot there just despised humanity. Period. Kane did not despise humans. He just was like getting pissed that no one likes his adventures. And that kind of developed his hatred of them, but he didn't hate the people themselves. He just hated them disliking his adventures.
Resulting in one of the creators seemingly stepping...
And he would not take any constructive criticism either.
...to what many thought was fan dissatisfaction with certain elements of the last episode.
Fun fact, Gooseworks is trans.
Backlash because they released said finale in cinema and people leaked the ending and the creator didn't say the correct thing in response apparently. Some of the voice actors even had their history dragged up with heavy accusations levied against them, and the community, despite being viewed
Oh
as
no,
somewhat
guys! People were lay racism. Yes, who would have thought? During the COD Modern Warfare days, the COD MW2 and MW3 days, people were lay racism. Oh no! It's almost like as if that was lay normal for the time.
in the years leading up to this, especially compared to other communities, was now up in arms, divided, and just all around a mess. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, both the community and the show, and what nuclear bomb went off causing all this ruckus. But before we get into any of that, we need to know what the digital circus is and how it got so popular.
Specifically, I believe that we can use the religious imagery to get a pretty good idea of what Pomni's story arc is going to be. You see, Pomni is Digital Circus's parallel to Jesus Christ.
Now, obviously, there are spoilers in this video for the digital circus, its plot, and the ending.
Thank you,
so
Matt
if you
Pat,
haven't
for
seen
making
any of
based.
that and you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. Well, let's be honest.
Imagine not watching The Amazing Digital Circus yet. Imagine not.
Most of you probably got spoiled from the leaks anyway. To start with, the amazing
And me, I spoiled everything for you too.
Digital Circus was created, written, and directed by Gooseworks, someone that even prior to the success of the Digital Circus already had a laundry list of achievements and titles under their belt. They worked on popular
And none of them I've ever heard from. Helluva Boss!
shows like
Helluva
Hell
Boss?
of a Boss, and published their own independent stories, music, and illustrations, which is something they've apparently been doing for a decade and a half, which includes their activity on their official YouTube channel, with earlier uploads including things like Grabbed by the Ghoulies Orchestra remakes. So Gooseworks definitely knew fucking ball. But Goose has been doing everything from music production to creating and animating their own stories for years, to say the least. They were so good at creating stories that they even somewhat predicted one of the outcomes in the finale of the Digital Circus a decade prior. And they also somewhat predicted the outcome of their fanbase. Goose started to see major success in 2019 and the years following, as she not only had the opportunity to work on Hell of a Boss and the pilot for Has Been Hotel, and was well acquainted with the career of both shows.
I think with any good story, you should kind of know where it's going to end from the very point that you started. It's just, it's what in between that matters. When it comes to a story, it's not the beginning that matters or the ending that matters so much. It's like everything in between. Of course, the ending does matter. If the ending's shit, and that ruins the journey in between. But, you need at least to have like an okay ending where like 60% of your audience is content with it, at the least. And again, you can usually have that happen if you know how your story's going to end from the moment you start it. Now, I can tell you from my experience, dude, I know exactly where all my stories ever want to end, where I want them to end. It just takes a while to get there because I have like a lot of ideas in between from the beginning and the end.
But she also saw success in her independent work published on her YouTube channel, with animations like Little Runmo released in 2019, Elaine the Bounty Hunter released in 2020, and Elaine Gets Adopted released in 2021, to name a few. And she did most of the animation herself, receiving millions of views and high praise for these projects. Jumping to late 2022, she already had an impressive
I don't like the art style, but
portfolio, and
that's
Glitch
good
Productions
looking.
would take notice, inviting her to their studio to pitch 3 shows, with one of them being The Digital Circus, which would see the release of the pilot the following year. But even before the amazing Digital Circus, Glitch Productions was already somewhat popular. They started off as a YouTube channel under the name SMG4 that made things like Mario animations, which is briefly referenced in the ending moments of the Digital Circus. They would eventually transition into animating their own projects, founding the Glitch Production YouTube channel, releasing the teaser for their first
Wait, hold on.
the following year. But even before the amazing Digital Circus, Glitch Productions was already somewhat popular. They started off as a YouTube
Glitch Productions made SMG4? Dude, I loved SMG4. That was dope. That was one of my favorite channels to watch for a while. And then I felt like the content just kind of got samey, or maybe I just grew out of it.
channel.
But I loved
SMG4
SMG4.
that made things like Mario animations, which is briefly referenced in the ending moments of the Digital Circus. They would eventually transition into animating their own projects, founding the Glitch Production YouTube channel, releasing the teaser for their first official animation in 2019, which was Meta Runners, and it continued for multiple seasons. However, they would see more success with their next release. No, it wasn't the Amazing Digital Circus, but Murder Drones. It was introduced in late 20.
You see, this is when Glitch Productions was really stepped their games, because, what is it called? Meta Hunters? Meta Runners. Yeah, Meta Runners, that is a terrible art style. That is so ugly. It's like a mixture, it's like ugly and partially Uncanny Valley. I refuse to even touch that just because it looks so bad.
2021 and ran for only 8 episodes, with said episodes releasing occasionally all the way up to 2024, which is a format their next project would also follow. This would be a very successful series on their channel, resulting in them reaching over 1 million subscribers in late 2022, because a lot of people really enjoyed Murder Drones from its animation quality.
Yeah, it was also pretty interesting too, because in the first episode, in the final part of the episode, the main character says that she just wants to game into all humans, even though she's supposed to be the protagonist that we're rooting for. And then you hear that line at the end, you're like, oh, maybe she's not as cool as we thought she was. No, she actually was. She actually still was cool the entire time.
Fight scenes to things like its characters, its story, and the significant gaps between each episode that only made the anticipation and excitement for the release of future episodes greater. It was quite well received overall, although some didn't entirely enjoy the end of the series, but for an indie production uploaded to YouTube, it was very impressive and put Glitch.
Yeah, it was very visually impressive, and the story was interesting enough that I did look into it and have someone explain. I watched a video essay explaining how the story was, but yeah, the story was way too complex to digest on a casual level. As like someone that's employed and coming home from work on a daily basis.
Somewhat on the map,
and has
and
chores.
fans were eager for the release of the next series Glitch would be producing, and they most definitely wouldn't be disappointed, as the Amazing Digital Circus was their next project, and the pilot alone, as I've reiterated multiple times, was enough to captivate a majority of the internet. It had animation that would only improve in later episodes, a range of characters that were fairly interesting, and a plot that hooked people within the first episode. The show starts with Pomni, someone that came across a headset that most think was due to her hobby of exploring abandoned buildings, and upon putting it on, she had been transported to the circus, a digital place controlled by an AI going by the name of Kane. Pomni does try to take.
Fun fact, we don't know how the Amazing Digital Circus is still running. That was never cleared up. It just kind of is. If there was to ever be a season 2, I would love to have this season 2 be about like the energy running out for the Amazing Digital Circus, and maybe coming up with a way to unabstract people. But definitely the I guess you would say like the B plot is that people are the B plot. Again, no more energy going bye-bye. A-plot, unabstract homies. I don't know, make Jax like one of the last characters unabstracted, and he like saves the day. Somehow, he figures out a way to make the power continue going.
The headset off, but it proves unsuccessful, and she's greeted by other people that also put the headset.
Why? Why did he do that? Bro, why you got Kinga like that?
We're now trapped in this digital realm, with the only important character being Kinga. Somebody out there is already writing a slur targeted towards me for making that joke. Pomni can't remember her name, what she looked like in the real world, and said
I'm not even sure what the joke was.
things about herself, which is the same for the other characters. However, it is revealed in later episodes that they basically have all their memories, like past jobs, hobbies, and experiences, but nothing about their identity. But now she's in the digital circus, she now, along with others, except for Zubul most times, are forced to go on daily adventures that Kane creates for them, which most times ends up with one of the characters being severely traumatized, and Kane only forces them to do this in order to apparently keep their minds active and entertained, to mitigate the chance of them going insane from boredom and abstracting, which is where they have mentally deteriorated to the point where they glitch out, turning into a monster that has lost all their memories and sense of who they are, and are also extremely hostile. This is the only way people can basically die in the circus, and there is no going back once you abstract, and the only way to deal with them is to lock them in dark areas that
So Kane says anyway. But Kane's also an AI. And he only runs off of, like, the information that he has. So there probably is a way if the humans figured it out. But season 1, canonically, and probably forever, on abstraction, dead.
To calm them down. Some have theorized that abstraction is a metaphor for suicide, which, yep, sounds about right. But although Kane apparently puts them on these missions to benefit
I never thought of
most
that.
characters just think he puts them on these missions to torment them in some way, and they don't really work that well since a lot of people have previously abstracted anyway. But it's not entirely Kane's fault. The character Jax is basically responsible for killing 2 people and apparently fumbling 2 baddies. That basically is what the digital circus is, and Pomni from day 1 is trying to find an escape from their digital prison. And through every episode, you slowly learn more things about the circus, and more importantly, the characters, like their past and key events in their lives, but you never really outright get the whole story. Like, there's only 1 or 2 occasions before the ending where they just drop a character's lore on you. And by the end, you still don't get the entire picture. There is still more questions, like how did every character get into the circus, or how is the circus still even running after all this time? And
that's what I'm saying!
That's probably one of the best things about the digital circus, because you may get answers to one thing that leaves even more questions. And most times you don't get outright told the answers. You either have to piece things together or make educated guesses.
I mean, that's just kind of what a good story is. It's like the same with Petscop. Petscop, I'm sure the creator has, like, almost all the answers. There's probably, like, a few of them that he either forgot or didn't write down or something. But if you paid close enough attention, you got, like, 85% of the answers, which may sound like, oh, I'm missing a whole 15%, but you know, you don't need like every small detail. You don't need this like plot thread to have an ending to it. It's okay if there's okay if there's like 1 or 2 plot holes, so long as it doesn't affect the main story. And like Petscop does that, where they have like a couple plot holes, doesn't affect the main story. Like, why didn't Marvin force Paul to play Petscop? Why didn't Marvin beat up Paul? How did Marvin figure out? Actually, how did Marvin, like, know? I mean, even, yeah, actually, no, wait, how do I word this? There's a point in Petscop where they have, like, the ghost rooms, and the ghost rooms, the idea is that the ghost rooms, it contains a person, and the person's playing Petscop. And there's like 5 or 6 ghost rooms, and then Paul is interacting with Marvin, and then Marvin asks him what room he's in. And then Paul gives him the answer, then Marvin supposedly beats him up in real life. But my question is that supposedly, why did Marvin have to ask him that? Because in said ghost rooms, the idea was that the game studio that held these ghost rooms was abandoned. So what was stopping Marvin from just opening up every door to then beat up Paul? And again, why did Marvin even beat up Paul? I mean, sure, it's a plot hole that we will never know. But does it really matter too much? It really does not matter a significant amount. But again, that's one of the biggest plot holes I can think of in my mind, is explaining like the ghost rooms. But the biggest, easiest explanation is that ghost rooms were multiplayer like beta rooms, because apparently, I think it's like with the PS1 or PS2, PS1/PS2, developers had like beta access to multiplayer before like the PS3 came out, and the PS3 basically made like online multiplayer. That's what I mean.
But that is basically the amazing digital circus, and the story is quite good. I can see why a lot of people like it, and it does deserve the attention.
But yeah, it's the same thing with like Dorohedoro. There's so many different things going on at the exact same time in Dorohedoro. There's probably a couple plot holes that you'll never understand, or you will never get the answer for, and that's okay, because sometimes part of the fun of a series is coming up with your own answers. Now, a story is bad if you have too many unanswered questions, like Lost, because Lost had 5 seasons, and then they just didn't answer anything for like the 5th season at all. Well, they answered like, I don't know, 10 questions out of the 80 unanswered ones, and it had a wonky slosh ending. That is how you do a story terribly with mystery terribly. But yeah, like I'm not gonna repeat myself again.
It has received. My favorite episode, because I'm totally not a lapper and totally didn't only recently watch the entire series in my spare time, but my favorite episode is Fast Food Masquerade, primarily because when looking into Gooseworks, it was said she worked for 5 years at McDonald's before she got fired, and you can almost tell throughout that episode her experience working in fast food has bled into that episode, and it probably made previous fast food employees watching it relive their own personal Vietnam.
Yeah, who would have thought working fast food sucks because you have to deal with people. And you have to deal with people who are hungry. Dealing with people is like okay, but dealing with people who are hungry is the worst thing ever because people who are hungry, they have not even 1/8 of the patience they usually have. So somebody that's really patient, if their food's delayed by like 5 or 10 minutes, they get pissy. Like my mother, dude, I couldn't stand it. It was aggravating just being in the car with her and just waiting for my food from a McDonald's. I ordered McDonald's through the app on the phone. We were sitting in one like the parking spots to get the food like delivered to the car, right? And they took like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. After like 5 minutes, my was like, where are they? What's going on? Where's our food? Are you sure they even got our food? I'm like, and just chill out. It's probably fine. And then, like, 3 more goes by. Oh, what's going on? Where's our food? What's taking them so long? Mother, chill out. They're fucking McDonald's workers. They're underpaid and overworked. Yeah, of course we're probably gonna have to wait some time. Give them some leeway. I've never even worked fast food, and I'm giving them more leeway. She works fast food! And yet she has no patience for them. Like, wow! You know what these people are dealing with. How do you have zero patience for them? What? Why are you being such a dick? And then the coworker finally gave us our food after like 15 minutes came by. After 15 minutes came by? Yeah, so close enough. Close enough, Wordy. And then the coworker's like, yeah, sorry, we're overworked and understaffed, and then they had us like switching around stuff. Like some stuff wasn't done that it was supposed to be done by the time they were supposed to get our food out. So I was like, oh, okay. And then my mother was just gritting her teeth with like, you know, a forced smile. It was so awkward, so corny. And anyways, what I'm saying is that if AI replaces fast food workers, it's whatever. Listen, no one likes to work in fast food. Who gives a shit that it's being replaced by robots? No human likes working there to begin with. It's whatever. Oh no, no money for the people that want to work a job though. Yeah, nobody wants to work for some place where they're miserable at too though. They just do it because they don't got any other choice.
I'm honestly curious if Gooseworks has like PTSD or something from that one beeping sound found in like every McDonald's. Even though it's a good show, not like the best show ever, let's calm down a little. It's not being
why does that beeping sound even exist? What is the purpose of that sound? Is that like printing receipts? I don't know what it means, and I don't know what it's for.
Soon, and every now and again.
But it's always in the back. It's not even the front. It's just in the kitchen area for whatever reason.
There's dialogue that can be, dare I say, a bit corny.
I care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest. End of story. You are my playthings.
Even though it saw great success and was highly praised throughout its run, it still had...
Yeah, but so that the thing with Jax there is that the corniness was a part of it, because you were supposed to be able to tell that Jax was lying through his teeth, and that was the best lie he could come up with on the spot. So it makes perfectly sense why it was corny. It wasn't supposed to be, what's the word? How do you put it? You weren't supposed to be convinced that's how he truly thought of the characters.
Quite a big problem with its fans, especially nearing the end of the series.
Pomni! Can you please lift your feet, please? Please! Don't leave me!
So as the amazing digital
What
circus
is that
got more popular
soundbite?
and the amount of fans surrounding it grew and grew, obviously this sometimes results in the occurrence of fans that are a bit too obsessed with the form of media in question, to the point where they take said media and things surrounding it a bit too seriously to a delusional level. And as said, this happened to the reputations of the My Academia and has-been hotel communities. And this involves activities like going through the past of people associated with the show and dragging up past situations which nobody had a problem with initially, and most of the things dragged up were mainly jokes or even
No, I don't even think that was the fan base. I'm pretty sure that was just losers that were upset that these actors got these really big roles. And so they were trying to drag their name in the mud, hoping that they would get replaced with someone they liked or them, because they're safe. They're the good one. They're the good person. Not the actor. The actor did no, bad. Mistake? No. You can't ever make mistake in life. Always have to be perfect. Just like me. Just like Taylor Swift, who goes through 50 jets worth of fuel a year.
jokes made by members
Sorry, my bad. 50 planes worth of fuel. Commercial planes worth of fuel a year in jets.
of the show that no one had a problem with at the time, until they were brought to the forefront of the internet years later. Because apparently, if you like a piece of content, it means that the people behind it have to agree with you on everything. They're not allowed to even joke about certain things, even in their past years ago. And if they go against any of that, you will have to vocalize your disappointment on platforms saying you're no longer supporting them or their content, even though you probably will continue watching it, and you also have to make sure to tag them in
Every
that
time I
same
see this gif, I always just believe it's Patrick Bateman, but it's not.
post. And you have to make a big deal out of the situation, assigning the most extreme labels with barely any evidence. Also, if something happens with the show you don't like, or in most cases it's something that's not even the fault of people directly involved with the show, you must go out of your way to blame them entirely, and overall you have to just make a big shit in your adult diaper about the whole thing. That's basically how every fanbase for bad reputation functions. Well, that or they get so obsessed they can't differentiate fiction from reality, or they do the opposite of what I just described a minute ago and go on the offense, attacking anyone that says anything bad about the show. And to be honest, the Amazing Digital Circus saw most of everything I just described. First came the accusations against the voice actors of the show, specifically the voice of Jax, Michael Kovac, and the voice of Zubul, Ashley Nicholas. And this allegation was sourced from a live stream these two did together way before the Digital Circus in 2019, almost 7 years ago. And people were claiming they were racist from one clip from said live stream, where the voice of Zubul reads out someone's name in the chat and it sounds like the N-word.
Notice you, Senpai. Aaron, sure, we notice you. Chur mega? Hey, Saber!
Hey, sprinkle cake, that's what I thought was said too.
Use letters to spell the longest word you can.
She did not. It just sounded like it.
Did it? I said you fucking
It
idiot!
sounded like another word.
So they say N.
And of course, that is what they're canceled for, because, again, Zubul voice actor, they're voicing a big name. They're voicing a character that is lay famous now. That's lay bad. They can't have that. They can't have that. You know why they can't have that? Because it's not them. That's literally like that's 99%. That's 99% of cancellations in general. If a person gets canceled, just look at the person who's trying to cancel them, who's trying to campaign it, or the people that are trying to campaign it, and then try and understand why they're trying to do that before looking at the accusations themselves. Just try and cancel. Just figure out why. And a lot of times, the answer is jealousy. It's really that simple. It's just chronically online losers that are jealous because they're wasting their life and doing nothing. Whereas people that are actually talented and doing something with their life are going places. Oh, so sad.
Which sounds like the N-word, and I did have to censor it because YouTube is YouTube, but they don't actually say the N-word. And later on, continuing with the joke, in the game they were playing, they would make a shirt with the word she said on it, and they would all laugh and vote for it.
Oh, thank you, Daddy, for the vote.
Based. I thought the Zubul VA was corny. I thought the Zubul character themselves was corny, but the VA, this is just based.
And that is it. Personally, I think this is like making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't think they are racist. All they did was read a chatter's
Yeah,
name
it's just
that
jealous
sounded
people.
like the N-word, laughed about it, integrated it into
Jealous
the game,
chronically
and
online
laughed
people.
about it some more. There was no malice there from what I saw. It was a joke, and just to reiterate, it was 7 years ago. Come on. And plus, that's like every Jack-in-the-Box game between friends. There is always
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind though, people still are crying about the Confederate flag existing, even though most people nowadays just view the Confederate flag as like a symbol of American pride. They don't even view it as like a thing where they want slaves. Yeah, let that sink in.
referenced. Anyway, but despite this, some fans did make a big deal about it. I think one fan that got Jax's voice actor's autograph tattooed on their skin, which in my opinion, I don't know why you would ever do that. But after this drama came out, they would start panicking and post about how much of a mistake they had made and how much they wanted to remove it. And around
Bro, really? How sad and pathetic is your life that it takes that one small clip to want to have it covered up? It would be one thing if bro was a diddler. Bro is not a diddler. You're just being a crybaby. Grow up. And this is exactly why you should never put permanent ink on your body. I think people that put permanent ink on their body are losers. Even with Tectone. I don't care. I don't care. I like Tectone. He has like decent opinions most of the time. But him just having all these tattoos, it makes him look like a cornball. He does not look like a hard ass. He looks like a little bitch with all those. Well, alright. A little harsh. Idos looks like a bitch with all his tattoos. Tectone would definitely mog him. But it's still, I think it's just corny. Most people look better without tattoos. I give you a pass if you get a tattoo with something that's near and dear and special to your heart, and you can explain to me why you have that tattoo. It's about that special near and dear thing. Like my sister. My sister has an Igor tattoo. She loved Winnie the Pooh. She loved Igor. She resonated with him. She got a tattoo of Igor. I am okay with her having that tattoo. As from what I can tell, like, Tectone, he just has, like, a whole bunch of tattoos all over his body, and they don't mean really anything to me. I don't know. He's never explained them to my knowledge. That's corny. And again, this person, they're an idiot. Maybe you shouldn't put permanent ink on your body if it takes one small thing for you to... if it takes one small thing for you to regret your decision. Whatever, it probably wasn't that deep. Your love for the game... I mean, your love for the game, your love for the Amazing Digital Circus was not that deep, if that's all it took. For you to be like... Jackson the bad.
At the time, one person at Glitch event started spamming the word they said all those years ago at their stall, which led to Glitch making an official statement about it. They even roped Goosewax into this because she had previously referenced the event, so some also assumed she was racist.
Based Goosewax.
And with all the attention this situation was getting, the voice actors would respond, where they would apologize for even making a joke about such a thing and apologize for any harm that was caused by it. But they would also...
Yeah, and you know what happened? No one forgave him, and the hate got worse.
That people around this time were sending them very disgusting things in response. Goosewax would also respond to this in a very colourful way, to say the least.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You yourself now.
And this wouldn't be the first time this happened, because people also went through Goosewax's old tweets and Tumblr posts with some from an entire decade ago, and they used things like...
Of course, because they're jealous, chronically online people that have nothing else to do in their life but try and make people successful.
Even believed Goosewax to leave her account some places like Reddit, because people were mad at her for simply saying on a live stream that Jax and Pomni are the two main characters of the show.
Going into this series, I never expected one of the things that people would get mad at me for would be making the show focus on the two main characters. I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could get mad about that. It's like building up the show to be about Pomni and Jax. It's like, oh, people are actually really upset about that. I'm sorry.
That's all they said. People were mad the creator of the show made an offhand comment about their show, and that two characters are actually the main characters of said show instead of all the others. And they were getting so much shit flung at them, they even apparently apologized for it, but did...
Yeah, there's plenty of side characters I love, but the reason why I love them is because they're side characters. It's like Carl from Jimmy Neutron. Carl from Jimmy Neutron, wonderful side character, funny side character. And then they made the show about him, and this show was ass. Because side characters are side characters for a reason. Most of the time. Otherwise, even then, though, it doesn't matter because you can still enjoy and appreciate the side character for what they are and what they're doing already. So again, what's happening with Gooseworks in this situation is that people are mad that Gooseworks is not doing what the fan base wants them to do. Again, chronically online mentally ill losers that are mad about someone being successful.
It clarified they didn't delete their accounts down to that, it was other things. And if you thought it couldn't get even more ridiculous, it kept going, because as said, the final episode of The Amazing Digital Circus also had a cinema release before it would later be uploaded to places like YouTube and other platforms. But before the movie was released in cinema, the Brazilian Portuguese dubbed version was leaked online, which included clips of important plot points and in some cases just the whole movie spread eagle for everyone to see on things like their Twitter timeline. And fans obviously were
I somehow avoided that, probably because I'm not chronically online and then not doomscroll.
Annoyed by this. They had been waiting months for this episode and they've been watching the show for years, only for everything to be spoiled, and they would have to avoid said spoilers like landmines for the next few weeks till the movie was officially released in the local.
I did see the Avatar movie that's actually getting its official release soon. The one where Aang and like Korra are adults. I saw that leak and I thought, wow, that movie was shit. No wonder why it got leaked. All the budget was just the animation, and even though the animation was just like it somehow was not as good as the original Avatar, and the story was not there either. So I was like, oh, you know, after I was like an hour through the movie, I had like, was it 20 minutes left? I was like, yeah, I see why it's got leaked now. This was garbage.
Cinemas. But for whatever reason, some people wouldn't be just mad at the leakers. They would also be mad at the people who created the show, apparently criticizing them for even having a cinema release. Because if they didn't, things like this would have never happened. And things would escalate when people try.
If you want to say it's corny, that's fine. But I'm not gonna harp on them for it. The Glitch can do whatever they want. It was famous enough. It definitely earned it. Are we gonna start saying the same thing about the Backrooms movie? Oh, guys, well, the Backrooms should have never had theatrical release because they had all these other because Kane Pixel had a bunch of episodes about it on YouTube already. But the only difference is that this one had real actors, so he really shouldn't have made it a theatrical release. What? Nonsense argument.
To make Goosewax aware of the leaks, and in response, Goosewax, this heathen, this terrible person, had the gall to not really care. And she responded by saying,
yeah, probably because the fan base tilted Gooseworks. Dark Royalty. I was about to say Dark Side of Royalty, but that guy's a Destiny channel. What the thing was Hedgehog Man's name? I forgot. Royalty's here. Royalty's here forgetting to mention that Gooseworks had like a mental breakdown, I believe sometime before or after episode 7, saying that they're considering just like never touching anything related to AMD again because of their fan base and how much they hate them. How come we haven't seen that tweet yet?
and I quote, "Who
Because that's most definitely why they did not care.
Which is a fair response. What is she going to do? The leaks are already out there. She can't mind wipe all the people that have seen them or do anything about the people that have downloaded the clips and are recirculating them. Yes, her team could remove them down to copyright infringement, but even then, when one is taken down, 10 more will probably take their place. There is nothing Goosewax could have done, and her response was fine. But after responding, some individuals, for some reason, didn't like the way she responded, so they once again...
Guys, that means she doesn't care about her own franchise. Yeah, maybe there's a reason.
Again, through their at her. Obviously, it's not the whole community doing this, it is the small minority that are way too obsessed with the show and, dare I say, are a bit delusional. And once again, Goosewax,
the small, loud vocal minority,
did somewhat have the foresight to see this happening even before the show was released. But Goosewax would respond to the backlash again, saying she knows people are upset about her response and she just wanted to make a show, but it's proven way more trouble than it's really worth, and she just can't keep her heart in things like this. Finishing off by saying this has gotten much bigger than her and she probably shouldn't be the figurehead of it. And this situation...
Yeah, man, some people just are not... Some people, it's okay if they're not able to take the pressure of being an icon, if you will. And having all those eyes, all that pressure, and having to deal with the loud vocal minority daily. Because the only thing you could really do is just block them. And even then, though, you'll probably get people being upset that you're blocking people. Just because that's all you're doing. Even though those people are just annoyances that are ruining your whole fun.
Situation got so much attention, in fact, Moist Critical did a video on it.
Unfortunately, I don't.
The Reddit man! The Reddit opinion man! Yeah, he probably saw it on Reddit. And of course he saw it on Reddit, because that post that Royalty just showed was from Reddit. So he was probably doom scrolling, because he was also watching AMD, and then he saw that on his Reddit timeline, and he was like, oh, great video idea! AMD is popular! I'm gonna talk about this now? Let me read up what, like, everyone's saying on Reddit real quick.
With her response. Who cares? I don't see what's so bad about that. I don't know why people would be upset. It happens. It was out of her control. All she can do now is just be like, alright, there it is. But what if I told you that tongue Sahor's pregnant? We'll see.
But when the movie did eventually fully release, some people then got mad at Goosewex again, but this time for things like the ending, more specifically the off-screen abstraction of Jax. Like, Goosewex cannot win in any scenario, even if she isn't remotely involved in a situation. And I think this is why a lot of show creators and animators don't really get that.
I think, like, the abstraction with Jax was fine, but I just wish that, you know, it really seemed like Pomni found a way to actually bring people back from abstraction. But then Ragatha and the group pulled her out from it. That's what it seems like, and I think I would have much preferred if, like, Pomni actually, through the power of love and friendship, was able to bring Jax back from their brink of insanity. / abstraction. That's where it seemed like I was going, but it just didn't seem like Gooseworks followed through with it.
Involved with their communities and keep a distance, because if you are actively involved, you are either going to be trying to make everyone happy, which may change the direction of the show and the way you wanted it to go, or you will constantly have to deal with people complaining and blaming you for everything surrounding the show that in most cases has nothing to do with you. It's probably the most mentally draining thing you could do. And with that said, Goosewex would later respond to questions about the show, saying she's tired when asked about a season 2.
Fair.
And she essentially passes the torch to the next Glitch Production show and tells people to support that, which I think is a completely normal and human response when you've had to deal with all the people have been throwing at you. But even after that, people threw more at her, saying you only made like 9 episodes of a show, how are you tired?
I can't believe bro didn't bring up, like, the Jax being trans thing. Okay.
So in conclusion, that is the amazing digital circus and its community. It's a community that for a number of years was fairly calm and wasn't that bad, but nearing the end of the series, that's when things escalated quite dramatically, and I do think it did somewhat impact the reputation of the show, especially with the release of the final episode. I think there was more focus on the drama surrounding it more than the actual show and what the indie production had accomplished. However, as said, it's not all the fans doing the things I described earlier, it's just a small minority that are far more vocal and loud who ruin it for everyone else. But this community is definitely not as bad as other communities, like Has Been Hotel.
Have any of you guys seen a talking teddy bear?
They're about to announce
I wouldn't know.
the new writer for the Digital Circus episode.
And the next writer is Vivzy Pop.
The show is pretty good, and I think the people behind it have set a new bar for.
You know, to be fair, the Has Been Hotel fan base, now that I think about it, it really is as bad as because Vizzy Pop sucks. Like, Vizzy Pop just has shit opinions, and then because she has shit opinions, that's the rest of the fan base too.
What indie series can achieve. But yeah, make sure to air out your foreskin if you have one. If you don't, GG's, get f***ed, hood gang. And that's all I had to say.
Oh, well, did the fans ruin a major digital circus? Short answer, yes. The about loud vocal minority ruined AMD. Probably. Very likely. There's at least a 70% chance. But, yeah. Hey, if you enjoyed the React Andy, be sure to look at Royalty's Here's video. The link is in the description. Be sure to support the bro for giving me free content. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked my React Andy. And tell me what you thought too. And I'll see you Vamp Cows next time I feast upon my next victim.
Did you enjoy that video? Did you hate it? Well, be sure to like, dislike, comment, and subscribe if you want to see my next wonky slosh take.